It's Friday, and did we lose our real intro? I mean, is it
No,
lost? Or
no, we're working on a new intro. We're going to come up with a new intro. I promise you that. It's
oh,
coming. It's
so
coming.
what's up, everybody? I'm back from traveling all over the place, and happy to be sitting aside my good friend for God knows how many years, 40 years plus over there in Montreal. I'm in South Florida, and at the Rant Network, we kind of talk about a lot of political stuff, and we get a lot of flack for it because we do a lot of politics, and we like to do a lot of feel good stuff, like we did with Samuel Beard. And roasting my cousin Rupert is just part of our day-to-day operation. But we're talking about something today that hits both Republican, Democrat, Canadian American, European, Israeli, Palestinian, Iraqian, Syrian, African, Chinese, North Korean. It affects everyone, including those Putin lovers in Moscow. It's called a worldwide recession, right? Because it's not just in the United States or North America and Canada and Mexico, but it's affecting everyone all over the world. However, maybe slightly different in every country. Like, for example, if you're in the Ukraine, you got not only food shortages, you got bombs dropping on your head. And if you're in Moscow, you're Russian and you're now hated all over the world. And if you're an oligarch, you're losing your yachts. Which, by the way, David, I saw one of the oligarch yachts while I was traveling, and it was being guarded by the Italian military because it was seized. I forgot to tell you that.
Nice.
But Dave, I'm going to launch you on talking about the denial of recessions. I think that's really what this is about.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
The frustrating thing, Stuart, is you're 100% right. And let's call a spade, okay? A recession is, in its technical terms, Stuart, and I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder, is it's 6 straight months, 2 consecutive quarters where the economy has shrunk. The GDP has reduced, what they, negative growth called. You've heard all these terms thrown out there, and the economists have called it a recession. And we've had short recessions for a few months, and we've had recessions for a few years. And yet, it is absolutely fascinating that the Biden administration stood up there this week after the official announcement that, yep, we've had 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. They're saying it's not a recession. Now, I know, Stuart, that this administration has shown consistent incompetence when it comes up to significant policies.
That sounds political.
Absolutely, and I'm going down the political rabbit hole because the Biden administration has denied so many things. They sat and waited on so many things. We saw their incompetence on foreign policy. Fill in the blank with Afghanistan. We've seen their incompetence with respect to judicial matters. See Roe v. Wade. And now inflation. Gas prices, stupidity. They just could. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. And they keep going back to a failed policy, the Build Back, better policy. They keep going back to that $1 trillion bill. And now there's an announcement that the growth has shrunk. There's no growth. The economy for 6 straight months has shrunk, and the Biden administration refuses to call it a recession. Like, I don't understand. What do you mean? Wait a second. If it quacks like a duck, and it looks like a duck, it has to be a duck. But Mr. Biden and his cohorts are on the denial train. Why? Here we go again, incompetence factor number 87. You didn't know what to do with inflation. You don't know what to do with gas prices. Now you have a recession on your hands, and you still don't know what to do. So what you're going... Stuart, hold on. Whoa. I want to finish this up. The incompetence factor is that you've now got Jerome Powell, head of the Fed, standing up there, sounding like a politician, which he's not supposed to, also denying that this is a recession. Guys, you're playing political games with people's wallets. You screw people on inflation. You're screwing people on gas prices. You're screwing people on a whole bunch of things. And now this administration shows its freaking incompetence in how to deal with a recession. Stuart, I'm punting the ball to you.
Okay. So let's understand some facts, right? I love this. Back to my fact train. The Great Depression, as we learned in school, was 1929 to 1933, which led to the beginning of what we now know as World War II. And the GDP decline was about 27%. Most recessions from there were in the single digits, right? Where this started to change, and by the way, the Great Recession, which is our time, which would be 2008, which I call 2008.5, which started in June of 2007, was only about 5%, right? COVID, which is now what I call the modern Great Depression, was 19.2%. So I guess to defend the Biden administration, it's not so bad. I mean, gas prices are at an all-time high. Meat, dairy, eggs, poultry, pork bellies are at an all-time high. And, it's not so bad because I don't remember what I paid for something because I never bought anything. And I have to send my wife to Texas to put her foot in her mouth. I mean, guys, bottom line is if you look at your bank account, you're feeling it. If you look at your retirement account and you're fortunate to have one, you're seeing it, right? But what you don't see, because most of our contemporaries that are watching this, we don't really notice the difference between gas costing $40 US or $100 US. But it's the guys that are around us that support us that have to basically not fill their tank anymore, put in $5 or
Well,
$10.
Stuart, hold on. But
Yep.
Stuart, let's be realistic. The vast majority of the population is feeling this. The vast majority of the population. There's only a handful. Look, when they talk about the top 1%, and we've ranted about what is the top 1%, it's not the income that you think it is. And if you take a look at the top 10%, it's not even close to what you think it is. Believe it or not, but the vast majority, over 90% of the population, lives paycheck to paycheck. The population today, the average person today is struggling with mortgages, with the mortgage rates going up. Yes, it's only 3 or 4% or 5 or 6%, depending on where you are. And yes, and I joked with a real estate agent who has been in the business for 47 years. And he told me, yes, do you know in 1981, it was at 19.5%. So what's 3%? But still 3% on a $500,000 home, which is where prices are skyrocketing, is a lot of money to you and to me and to a lot of other people. The problem I have, Stuart, is that the politicization, once again, of a reality it makes me ill. If you look at the last few recessions, it didn't care who was in power, not in the White House, not in Ottawa, not in opposition, not in the House or the Senate. It's an indiscriminate economic cycle. It generally happens every 10 or so years. We've seen that over the last number of decades. It had a blip every once in a while. You said it yourself, COVID blipped this for a period of time. We're now in a normal, natural cycle of economy. You cannot continue to go up without going down. It needs an adjustment. This is the problem. We are hitting another adjustment. You have ridiculous inflation. You have prices through the roof. You have recession. And the Biden administration essentially just wants to tell everybody, don't ask me what to do because I simply don't know how to help Americans or Canadians or people around the world. That is the message you're seeing here.
Right, but COVID's like the fourth or fifth worst, decline in the last 100 or so years. I don't think that we're going down that much of a rabbit hole.
No, but Stuart, the
denial and the poor judgment that's caused this as a political intervention is what's fairly unique about this recession. Recessions are avoidable, right? Recessions are typically, in my opinion, caused by political meandering and causing by legislating and invoking this sort of issue. Like, again, I want to raise interest rates to slow the growth. Well, we have 2 negative growth months or quarters, yet we're raising it 3/4, and now maybe 1%. To do what? To make the banks more profitable? To make our debt to China, which, by the way, hasn't even been discussed yet. If you look at the U.S. sovereign debt, the percentage owned by Asia and by Western Europe, and what it will do to the United States government, the Treasury, because we've got to pay our debt as well. Canada also has a massive debt. And
Absolutely.
that debt is being paid. This is exporting dollars to
Mm-hmm.
foreign countries, foreign interests. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, China, I'm not going to give you the money this way, but I'll give you the money that way. And it's a payoff in political clout that isn't discussed. And again, you're right, Dave, I'm in finance. I got clients that make boatloads of money because of these anomalies every 10 years. They sit like animals waiting for these declines to buy, fire sale goods, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the average Joe, right, the normal guy doesn't have the cash to deploy or the wherewithal to be able to expand their wealth. The rich get richer because in times like this where there's a 20% decline, that means the stock market's going to have almost
Stuart,
a
the problem
next
is because the
top.
people you're talking about just generally don't have savings, and their savings have been sunk into a home, or their savings have been sunk into a car. It's not because they're and
Well, the
so
people that put savings in a car is not bright. It's
no, but Stuart,
the
I'm
high
not. We're
force
not going to get
investment.
into that. Stuart, it's not about getting to that. But the average person, when they buy a home, that is the biggest purchase that they will ever make in their lives.
Doesn't mean it's their best.
Stuart, I didn't say it's the best. I'm not even talking about good or bad. I'm saying
Good. I'm just making
reality.
sure.
I'm talking about reality that when you buy a home, the average person buys a home. This is their biggest investment in their lives. Every savings, every dollar, everything goes into that home. They don't have money to buy a stock or a bond or whatever. And the government has been dangling crap in front of their faces for years. That's BS, promising them prosperity and wealth and whatever. And when the Trump administration dropped corporate taxes, they were vilified. They were told that that's wrong, but it stirred the economy in a certain direction. Mr. Biden believes that the way to stir the economy is to spend money he doesn't have. When you sign a multi-trillion-dollar bill, when you don't have the money, your GDP is down. Tax collection is down. When all this is down, you don't have money. You're spending other people's money. Would we tell our children, you know what? Here's a credit card. Go spend whatever you want. We'll figure it out later how we're going to pay back the money. And I know there's 20% interest, but we'll figure it out later. It'll be somebody else's problem. This is the Biden administration. This will be somebody else's problem. We'll take the kudos for the successes that we pretend, like gas prices going down. All of a sudden, the administration says, look what we did. What did you do? You did nothing.
We call them can kickers because the people that voted them in now, chances are, won't remember the can they kicked down the road yesterday. Listen, politics is playing on people that are fools. Again, I bring them up all the time. Rupert is a 1960s Democrat, right? He thinks he's a modern Democrat, and again, I guess I gotta say this.
Rupert, he loves you, man.
It's an ignorance to think that we gotta be kind, but every time we try and be kind, it's one thing. But when they don't want to be kind, it's okay.
The problem is, Stuart? No, I think you got it backwards. It's not that they're looking at the Democrats and saying that they're the kind people. They're looking at the GOP and saying they're the bad people. And if you listen to the rhetoric spewed, no Democrat, listen to the Democrats. Show me a policy that you're going to bring, a piece of legislation that you're going to bring that's going to make good change.
I got a better one. I want everyone to demand Nancy Pelosi's finances.
Oh, get off of Nancy Pelosi. You and your Nancy Pelosi train. This isn't about Nancy Pelosi. She's making millions off of you and me. We know that. What I'm saying is that the average American today is suffering.
No, I think I want to invoke to anyone that's ever got a DUI, and I've never had one. I want you to tell your attorney to invoke the Pelosi privilege.
Okay. Now that we've completely derailed the recession train, Stuart,
Yep. It's you know what
it's
time it
done.
is? I
You see what you did?
technically.
You went off on a rant that had nothing to do with the recession. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done yet another week. And once again, Stuart has proved that even though he goes on vacation, he can't stay on topic. Have yourself all a great week. Rupert, Stuart really does love you. And everybody out there, have a great week. We look forward to speaking to you guys on Monday.